Uh, Hi. My name is Deirdre, and I am here to talk a little bit about a journey I had that started about 16 years ago with the first words, "You have cancer." Um, I was 37 at the time, and it was one of those things where you find a lump and you go, huh, wonder what that is. And doctor says it's nothing, it's just fluid. And then you find out by a phone call that says, can you come into the office? The doctor wants to speak to you today. That your mind goes, okay, that can't be good. That can't be good. And so you have all day to go through work and be all normal and go and wait outside the office at almost 5 o'clock because you can't make yourself walk through that door, but you have to.
Hi, my name is Daphne. I'm Deirdre's sister. Um, I was 33 years old when I found out my sister had cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's 2 years older than me. I found out because she called me over the phone, and I was it was disbelief when she told me. Um, I was always under the assumption breast cancer had to be hereditary. And as far as I know, nobody in our family ever had breast cancer. I've got three older sisters and aunts, and nobody ever had breast cancer. So it was pretty surprising when she told me she had it. It was pretty devastating, and I was really upset. At that time, I assumed having breast cancer was a death sentence. I didn't know that much about it. As far as my feelings since finding out she had cancer, I feel like, well, I know that we're a lot closer than we ever have been. It's really brought us closer together. I want to spend as much time with her as I can. She seemed to be in remission, and well, she was in remission after all of the treatment, and everybody was really excited because she got a clean bill of health. Um, about 3 years after she was diagnosed, she went to a missionary trip for 5 years down in Honduras. And when she came back, though, unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer again. She was diagnosed with uh, colon cancer. And so we had to go through, or I went through, the family went through the emotions again of what's going to happen. Is it a death sentence? What is a treatment? This journey for her started when she was 37, and she's 55 now. 53 now, excuse me, and she is still battling it.
I had a 16-year-old son at the time, and it was really going to be hard on him. And that really sucked. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you go home and you cry and you get scared and you call your pastor, and God bless him, he shows up with his wife and half the church, and we sit around and pray together. And I go from the why me, why me? I was 37, I was a single parent, raising a kid, I'm working as a nurse, home health, working hard, doing life, just doing life, and it just, so, but yeah, after the why me, it was pretty quick when you go, why not me? Why not me? This is my journey, and this is my journey, and it continues to be my journey, which is okay. Uh, you go through the grief process, and you come to just acceptance, and you say, okay, let's go, let's get this over with. And I did it. I got it over with. It was amazing. I had a lumpectomy and some chemo, and 6 months later, God bless another doctor, my dear surgeon, who said, I'm not comfortable. It was too close. We need to do a mastectomy. So that was pretty easy because I trusted this guy. He prayed with me before surgery, and we just had a connection, and I trusted him. So I said, okay, but I only wanted to do one side. And that was kind of a silly reason, but, you do what you think is right. I was married at the time and thought maybe I'd want another baby and wanted to be able to feed that baby. So anyway, that wasn't to be. So mastectomy, and I was good to go. Years. In fact, I got to the point where I forgot that was part of my life. You get 5 years out, and they start saying, hey, things are looking pretty good. And in 5 years, I packed up and went to Honduras and spent 5.5 years down there. So obviously I wasn't too worried about anything, right? I went through it. I was a survivor. It toughened me up. It taught me a lot. I can't imagine my life without that experience, to be honest, especially as I become more wise and I see that there is such an amazing purpose in things.
What was strange for me to go through was I had to start getting a mammogram at age 33. Normally you don't get mammograms until you turn 40, so I was one of the youngest people they had seen for a mammogram. But because my sister had breast cancer, I had to start getting them at 33. And unfortunately, she moved to Spokane. I mean, I'm happy that she moved to Spokane now and her grandkids, but when I can, I want to see her as much as possible, because I don't know when this cancer will overtake her. It just seems it's ongoing within her body, and she's having to fight it all these years, and so I think that we're a lot closer now than we ever have been.
That intense emotion that you have up front comes and goes your entire journey, as does every single emotion. It's not something that you have this emotion now and then you're done with that emotion and it doesn't come back around. It comes back around, just like with anything. The anger at the first hearing of the news, the first time I had cancer, the second time I had cancer, a different kind, and then the time it recurred from the first. Every time it hits you like a punch in the gut, because how can it not? But every time I knew there was going to be an end to that, and I was going to get through it, and I was going to be okay. And if I wasn't, I was still going to be okay. I mean, the emotions are a whirlwind. Now, whose life isn't? Going through the changes in my body with being diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 3, that's just like on the edge of scary, because stage 4 means it's moved out of wherever it was. So I was very blessed. It was stage 3. It wasn't in the lymph glands. And the fact of losing a part of my body in order to save my life, it's a no-brainer in my case, for me, because it was a piece of tissue on me that was trying to kill me, so I had to, let it go. When I was diagnosed, same thing with the colon cancer. It was, I gotta lose a part of my body. It's gotta go. It's trying to kill me. That has been much more difficult to deal with physically than losing a breast, because it affects me more day to day. You lose a part of your colon, you're going to have colon issues, right? I'm not going to go into detail, but it makes you work a little harder in that department. So, that's been really rough, and there are times where I have very little control, and that makes it kind of hard to work. But things get better, and you deal with it. It's certainly better than going through the chemo, which day by day going through chemo, doesn't matter how many weeks you have in between each dose, it's hell. It's hell. If anyone says different, with different kinds of chemo or different, I've had it 3 times. Well, I'm still having it. So it's very tolerable now. There are times it's more tolerable. I think they really hit hard those new tumors and just pound them into the ground, hoping they never raise again. And that's what happened with the colon cancer. It's never to raise again. The chemo was harder than anything I've ever gone through in my life. There were times in the midst of it that all I could do for the first week after it is just sit in my chair or lay in my bed and wait for time to pass, because the side effects were freaking miserable, from acid tears, any fluid coming out of your body felt like acid, to violent diarrhea, to jaw pain so bad that you can't chew and you're afraid to eat because you know you have to go through pain, which will make you cry, tears of acid. I mean, it was not cool. It was not fun. It was, never do I want to go through it again, because I've had it twice more since then. Not for that kind of cancer, not for colon cancer, but because the breast cancer came back. And that's where you get into chronic cancer. And that's what I have now, is just chronic stage 4 breast cancer. We keep an eye on it with pictures. We treat it when we need to, and that's what the rest of my life will consist of. And until or if this monster takes me down, or just getting older takes me down, whichever way, we're all going the same direction, I guess, from birth. But anyway, that's a roller coaster that still comes and goes, and I'm still sick of it. I'm still going in every 3 weeks for IV chemo, and it's still a constant reminder in my life that